So the new D&D movie came out just recently, and I decided to try to sculpt a D&D scale mini of Edgin the Bard. If you're new to my channel, so dude! I'm Andy, and I'm learning how to craft tabletop and D&D scale miniatures by hand. Here's Mr. Green as a comparison for human scale. And like most of the minis I've made, I start out with a paperclip. There are lots of ways to make armatures, but this is my favorite way. The head, spine, and legs are formed by one paperclip, and then the ribs and arms are wrapped around that spine. I was pretty happy with how this one came out actually. Today I'm using Cost clay, which is a type of polymer clay that hardens with a bit of flexibility compared to regular clay. I'm hoping this will boost the durability of the piece. When you make a really solid armature like this, applying the clay becomes extremely easy. I'm basically just pinching off pieces of clay and pressing it into the armature and then smoothing it out. That's it. I got this little needle tool at the Dollar Tree, and despite the fact that I've accidentally shanked myself with it about 6 times, it was actually probably the most useful tool during this project. A lot of this part of the project is pretty self-explanatory, so I wanted to talk a little bit about how pumped I am that D&D finally got such a high-budget film. Finally, after so many of those low-budget, poorly received D&D films. I feel like over the last few years, D&D definitely got a new boom in popularity, which probably led to this movie getting greenlighted in the first place. I saw that Dungeon Craft did a review of the movie, and he referred to it as a medieval Guardians of the Galaxy, which I thought was pretty spot-on description. If you search for a movie review on YouTube, you'll see all those polarizing clickbait thumbnails, of course, like how they ruined the movie or this was the biggest problem with this movie. But ultimately, I was just happy to see that the film happened in the first place, and just about no one thought it was awful, so that's pretty sweet. At this point, I kept struggling to make him look less like the zombie Doctor Strange. I think I just made the eye sockets too deep, and the rest of the face was kind of falling apart. So next what I did was I baked it at this stage without the arms sculpted so that I wouldn't mess up all the little details on the torso when I sculpted the arms, and that made the next step way easier. I sculpted the instrument separately and thought it came out pretty decent, but I just gotta find a few things that I'm pleased with how they came out, because otherwise I'll just focus on how wonky the eye spacing is or something like that. Then the hands were done with a razor blade and that little needle tool. But this was the biggest success of the build, making the thumbs part of the armature. Because the wire itself is very close to the scale of the width of a finger, so it worked out that I could just expose that part of the armature and use that as the thumb, and so leaving the wire exposed wouldn't actually matter. Plus, that means the grip is adjustable. Like, that's sick. That's so cool. Plus, that means the grip is adjustable after it's baked, which makes my life so much easier, and it's really just cool to me. So I could make the mini literally grip the instrument as opposed to relying on only the strength of the glue. It's more like both a mechanical bond and an adhesive one, which, I love that. Now it's time to prime. This is my little hack for letting the minis I prime or clear coat dry out in a ventilated area. I just stick them between the glass of the window and the screen, and the reason I started doing this is actually because on more than one occasion the local birds or squirrels would pick up the minis and carry them away or move them, or like sometimes I've had some that are lost forever. This is a super simple paint job, and I'm a really bad mini painter, so I'm just going to ramble about the film. Personally, I thought the movie was awesome, but that's just my biased opinion because my standards, I guess, aren't crazy high. I also enjoyed Batman vs Superman, for the record, and almost no one did, so So there's that. With everyone's attention span being chronically reduced with TikTok and short form content, I feel like the entirety of the film industry is struggling to begin with. But I didn't go into it expecting a cinematic masterpiece. I just wanted it to be cool and fun, and I thought it definitely was. Oh yeah, here's when he started to look a little bit like the Van Gogh painting. I think they did a good job at getting a lot of the classic D&D creatures into the film, and for that I think they did a pretty good job there. It was just cool to see like some of those creatures come to the big screen. Then he started to look like Glenn Hansard from that movie Once, if anyone's seen that. Does anyone else have pets that are just fascinated with their crafting? Like, this guy is the man. He's always down to hang out when I'm crafting. Then I clear coated, gave him the snip, and he was ready for basing. Overall, I was pretty happy with how this mini came out. Yeah, it's a little bit wonky looking, but it's definitely an improvement on my previous minis, and that's really all I'm concerned with here. When I sent a photo to my friend, she replied with this gif of Sid from Ice Age. Now I can't stop seeing it when I look at the mini. So yeah, that's mini number 11, and I actually have the next few done already, but I just haven't found the time to actually edit the videos lately. But if you enjoyed this video, definitely let me know and subscribe. I post so rarely that I promise your feed won't be spammed up all the time. I think I posted like 3 times last year or less. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I genuinely appreciate it.